Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Tears Take. Today, I am recapping the Real Housewives of Miami, Season 7, Episode 2. It's called Miami Takes Milan. This episode was really good. I haven't seen the ratings, but if they are anything like the premiere episode, y'all need to step it up. So just make sure that you continue to tell your friends to support the show, those who love Bravo. And if they love Bravo, why are they not here? So please share the channel, comment, subscribe. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and jump in. Okay, so the episode opens with Adriana and Guerdy and Lisa. And they talk about Alexia and Todd going back and forth. Lisa mentions that she is going to go to Milan for a fashion show. However, she does share that her dad had a heart attack after they have recently reconciled. And she also mentions that Larsa is also going to this Milan trip. We check in with Larsa, and she's with her son, and he's going to be walking in the fashion show that Lisa's in. Larsa is just, trying to hurry him up because they're about to be late and they don't have a lot of flights out of Miami. And she's just pretty much going to be supporting him. If he's into being creative and into fashion right now, then she's going to do all she can to make sure that she's going to help him model. And I can't argue with that. So then we have a scene with Alexia and Julia. Do y'all still feel like that friendship is weird and fake? I don't know. They seem very different to me. And every time I see them together, it doesn't feel real, but that's just my opinion. So they were at a workout class. They go for a walk outside. Alexia says that she's not taking sides when it comes to Lisa and Larsa. She asked Julia about Guerdy, and Julia says she doesn't care to see Guerdy, and, brings up that same text, the cold text that she brought up last episode. And then she brings up something new, and she said that Julia and Martina were supposed to go on a cruise, and Martina couldn't go at the last minute, and so Guerdy went instead to support Julia. And instead of supporting Julia, according to Julia, Guerdy just made it all about herself and texted her about a dinner reservation and was pretty much I guess feeling a little left out and a little cast aside, and perhaps she just wasn't getting the star treatment that Julia was, since it was her event and her cruise. So I don't know. I still don't care. That still isn't enough for me to turn on Guerdy. She's like, "Oh, Guerdy's not my safe place anymore." And I'm just I just feel like she's putting 20 on 10. She's doing too much. And is it possible that Guerdy made something about her? Yes, I feel like she does have that tendency. 99% of housewives have that tendency. But yeah, I think, maybe she was a little annoying and maybe a little self-entitled on this event. But is that enough for you to say, she's not my safe place anymore? I don't know. I feel like Julia is doing too much. I think producers threatened her to step it up because she's been boring. Her and Adriana should flip, even though she is the one who's married and now with a growing family. I still don't think that's enough to stay on the show. Adriana brings it, just being a single person and not seeing too much of her life. So honestly, Adriana should be full-time and Julia should be at the front of. Honestly, we don't need Julia at all. I don't think she's that great. I don't think she is Housewives. I don't think she's Miami Housewives of all things. Y'all can fight me in the comments. Let me know below how you feel about Julia. Does she deserve a full-time spot? Is she doing too much with Guerdy? Or should she get out of here? Let me know. So then they check in, back with Alexia and her situation. I'm already getting kind of tired about this. I understand it's a big life event and it's going to go on for a while, as these divorces do. I'm already kind of tired of it. Anyway, basically Alexia shares that the judge gave Todd 30 days to either move the divorce along or to drop it, because since he filed, he didn't do anything else. And so the judge is like, yo, figure it out. Obviously, Alexia does not want him to move forward with the divorce. And Alexi had said, she would normally be done in a situation like this if a man treated her like this, but she said she wants to save her marriage. All right, so then Lisa and Larsa touched down in Milan, and I just love that they were on the same flight. They didn't talk to each other at all. However, you shady producers, I love it. However, they ended up having to use the same car service to go to the hotel. I was cracking up. I'm like, this is why I watch Housewives. And so they awkwardly are, in a very small, they're in a van or SUV, whatever. And, they just awkwardly try to talk to each other and exchange pleasantries. And I was like Kenya, like, oh, more. So they eventually get into it. And, Larsa said she was hurt by X, Y, and Z. And Lisa says, but that she was hurt when Larsa called Jody cheap. And so they just go back and forth. And Larsa's like, I can't believe you basically chose Marcus over me, even though I've been loyal to you. And Jody, if you think Marcus is your actual friend and you believe what he's telling you over what I'm telling you, then you're a psycho. Like, I'm sorry. And so Lisa's trying to de-escalate because Larsa's son is in there. Larsa's son is not 7. So, I like that she was still trying to be respectful, but I was like, if Larsa's acting a fool and she's fine acting a fool in front of her 22-year-old son, have at it. But, the mommy in me, I understand what Lisa was doing. And so she was just trying to de-escalate. And then she's trying to I think what she was trying to do was trying to kind of humanize herself a little bit and kind of tug on Larsa's heartstrings a little bit. And so she tells Larsa, listen, I'm pretty much on standby. My father just had a heart attack. Things are really touch and go. He could die in a week. We don't know. And there's just a lot going on. And there are things, I think what she was trying to say is hey, there are things going on bigger than this petty argument. Can we just kind of chill on that? I think that's where she was getting at. But she didn't say all that. She just pretty much said, I'm basically on standby because my dad's health is not doing well, blah, blah, blah. And Larsa, in true Larsa fashion, when anyone comes to her with anything that requires a heart and a brain, she just claps back right immediately. Well, you shouldn't have been here. You shouldn't be here. You should go buy your dad. Da, 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 da. If he has a week to live, you shouldn't be here. And I'm like, she's not lying. She's not lying because I understand what Lisa was doing, what I think Lisa was doing. But on the other hand, you can't pull that out of your hat or pull that out of your back pocket when you want sympathy, because it reminds me of, I think it was season 13 of Real Housewives of New York with, what's that child's name? What's that girl's name? Leah McSweeney. And they were on a cash trip, and her grandmother was really ill and essentially pretty much dying in Jersey, and they're in New York. And she was my grandma's dying. No one cares. No one's there for me. I should be with her, and I don't want to be here. And it's then go. So it's you want all this rah-rah sympathy, but you're not doing the thing that would actually make you feel better. So, with Lisa, it's you being in Italy about to walk in a fashion show. It's not congruent with, well, my father's sick and things are touch and go, and I'm just so concerned about what's happening. And it's are you? I understand what Larsa was saying. I just wouldn't say it to someone's face in an argument, but it's Larsa, man. So back in Miami, we see Guerdy going to a plastic surgeon, and she has her husband, Russell. What's up, Russell? I got happy when I saw him on the screen. I just appreciate how he just takes care of her and loves her, and is a silent strength, and I love it. So they basically go to a surgeon's office. He's looking into breast reconstruction. The doctor says it takes about 3 surgeries for a complete reconstruction. Guerdy has already had, because of her cancer, 6 surgeries, 5 chemo rounds, 20 radiation treatments, and they just severely impacted her body. Not something that you typically hear about. And so again, like I said in the last recap, I was like, wow. Like, damn, like not only do you have to go through all of that, now you have to deal with the aftermath. Like, ugh. So I think that's going to probably be her storyline arc, is like the kind of aftermath of all of this. Russell doesn't want her to proceed with any more surgeries. That's a lot for a caregiver to go through. However, from Guerdy's point of view, it's like, I'm just trying to get as close to back to myself as I can, just so I can feel sexy, so I can feel like a woman. And so I get that as well. So, best of luck to Guerdy on this kind of part 2 of her journey, because again, that's so unimaginable. So best of luck there. We get a quick scene of Marisol with her man. She has married him in different countries, and now she is going to make it U.S. official. They're just going to go to the courthouse, which I love. And basically they talk about Alexia and Todd again. And so she said that Todd brought out the worst in Alexia. She says it was her home life that was really kind of making her act out and angry with the rest of the girls. And, you know, even her and Marisol had some tension because of it. And she said, you know, it stems from Todd, like picking on her at home and making her feel less than. And then she was kind of like taking that out on the group. Marisol just wants Alexia happy, but she doesn't think Todd's right for her. And yeah, if someone makes your whole personality flip like that, they are not for you. I know this is probably her storyline. I'm just already tired of it. Day 2, episode 2. So we have a quick check-in in Milan. Larsa's hotel is so nice. She's basically just talking about the little car ride debrief with her son. Lisa debriefs with Jody in her room or her suite. She said Larsa's being a terrible friend, and Larsa practices his walk, and Larsa's son practices his walk. And in a confessional, Larsa just talks about how she's investing in her kids, and she'll do almost anything for them to help make their dreams come true. And I appreciated that. I hope she's doing it for reasons of just wanting the kids to thrive and have the best. But the thing that was kind of weird to me was like, oh, I'm doing all of this now so that you take care of me when I'm older. And I was like, that's the Larsa I know. Like, I didn't like that part. That is not why you have kids on this earth. It's not their responsibility to turn around and take care of you in your own age. That's great if they do. But it is not, you shouldn't have kids with the expectation, oh, I need someone to take care of me. No, hire a nurse if that's what you need. Don't bring a life onto this planet, do nice things only to say, hey, remember I did those nice things for you for 25 years? Yeah, I'm gonna need you to, like, it's weird. So I didn't like that part, but just like the intention of just like pouring into them and doing all you can is amazing. And so I hope she was coming from that place, and that other thing of they can take care of me when I'm older. Hopefully that was a throwaway comment and not her sole purpose of like pouring into her kids. So most of the girls go out, everyone except obviously Lisa and Larsa are in Milan. And Guerdy and Adriana were not invited to this. So it was Kiki, Alexia, Julia, Marisol, Alexia's friend Johnny, and some of like Johnny's random friends. And Alexia says that she didn't invite Guerdy or Adriana because she didn't want anyone stealing attention from her friend Johnny, who was visiting town from Madrid. As usual, they ask for a Todd update, and Alexia says that the court tells them about what she told Julia about the courts forcing him to proceed or drop the divorce. Alexia says, you know, he's been playing her. Todd liked the show at first, but he didn't like the way that he looked on TV. And so Alexa even offered to leave the show. I'm like, girl, ladies, do not leave your bag for a man. If your man loved you, he's going to want you to be successful, independent, get your own. Yeah, babe, let's build together. Let's keep just like doing more and build an empire. Don't ever leave your job for a man. If you want to leave your job because you hate it, you want to do something else, you want to pivot, and you have a man that can provide for you in the meantime, awesome. But if you have a man like feeling threatened by your job and insecure, feeling outshined, and wants you to leave your job to make his little fragile ego feel better, Absolutely not. Don't leave the job, leave the man, okay? She offered to leave the show and he said it's too late. I guess because he already looked bad. I don't know. And she came to the conclusion that like he started kind of placating her because they were just about to start filming and he didn't want her to use her platform to go on this season just ragging on him. And so now she's thinking like, okay, us like hanging out and having this situationship, is it because I'll shut up on the show now that we're kind of back cool again? And so now like his behavior is just like raising even more red flags. So then Alexia goes on to air him out. She was like, one day he's hot, one day he's cold, one day he's high, one day he's low. And, you know, he just doesn't give me the security that I need. Everything that we have is temporary. It's a fake rented apartment, a fake rented car. And basically they don't own anything. And I was like, ooh. And while she was saying this, Julia had the biggest, widest like grin on her face. I don't know if it was like, yep, that's what I heard, or yep, that's what I thought, or yep, Adriana was right. Like, but she had this weird smile that like, I don't know, you shouldn't have when your friend is like when her life's in shambles. It was very odd. So go back and watch if you didn't notice that. So then Alexia is just beating herself up and she's mad that she even allowed this, and she's crying and sobbing. And so Alexia is just so mad at herself. She's sobbing and she's just like, how did I get myself into this? How did I even allow this? And everyone just talks about like dating narcissists and having, you know, hey, everyone dates one in their past. Alexia finally gets to the point where she was like, yo, F him, like forget him, F him. And then she's like sobbing and saying like she's still attracted to him. So I'm like, we still have a ways to go. She is not healed yet. It was the night of the Milan fashion show. Lisa was so sweet to Preston backstage. Larsa is barely talking to Jody. He comes to sit down and Larsa's with a friend. And, you know, they just make fun of, Larsa and her friend make fun of, and within earshot, mind you, Jody is right next to them. They're making fun that Lisa is so late in the show and Preston is number 2. And so the friend is like gassing Larsa up like, oh, he's practically opening the show. Like he's really important. The designer must really like him. And then they're like, yeah, Lisa's like number 55. I love just silly housewife shade. So Preston gets on the runway. He does well. Lisa gets on the runway and she seems like she's killing it. I can barely tell because they pan to Larsa and Larsa is taking a selfie with her friend. And it's not just a selfie. It's a really obnoxious selfie because she has a big bright ring light on her phone. And so she's just doing the most. And it's such an asshole move, but it's such a housewife asshole move. So I'm like, I'm not mad at it, even though I would be mad if I was Lisa. So they're at like the after party and everyone's mingling, and Larsa tells Lisa, you know, they should talk once they get back to Miami. They kind of agree like, yo, let's just have fun tonight and we'll address this later. But then the rapper Fabulous comes on and he still looks good. I was like, hey Fab. And he is getting messy and he's like, yo, I just want to get messy and I want to know like the housewives drama. I said, yes, Fab. So then Larsa and Lisa are basically telling him their sides of the story and he's trying to mitigate. I was cracking up. I was just in my bag. I love when there's just a crossover of different like interests and worlds of mine. So it was just, I loved it. He's trying to mitigate and he's just like, okay, like Larsa, don't be disrespectful. Lisa, don't hang out with the ex. Like he's doing his thing. So after he's mitigating, both of them swear that he was on their side. Fine. So then, at the end, Lisa says that Jody is going to get mad at her because he feels left out. And Larsa was like, well, that's our business. We're supposed to talk to each other and be social. I already told y'all I got a weird vibe from Jody. That's a red flag. If your man can't take 2 hours of not being center of attention, like he should be gassing you up. He should be taking pictures of you from afar, like, oh, look at my baby go. She's killing it. She's over there with the rapper Fabulous. Yes, yes. Like, if he can't take 2 hours of like not being the center of your world and like just gas you up, hype you up, support you, like make sure you have your drink. Like, I'm not saying he needs to be your flunky, but like, just support. Or even if you're just tired or you're just not the most social person and you're like, babe, you got this. I'll see you at the hotel. I love you. Have fun. That's fine as well. But don't try to guilt trip her like, oh, I felt left out. You did this and you ignored me and you had too much fun with your friends and you would like, don't try to do that stuff. If a guy does that to you, another red flag. This is the thing about Housewives, is that you can see so many different types of personalities and things like on screen that are like, okay, that's something I need to stay away from, or that's something I want to find in a partner. With Housewives, we unfortunately see the former, but that's another red flag. So, and it's a red flag that he got with her right in the beginning of her divorce. And she's like dealing with like custody issues and co-parenting young kids. Like that's a mess of a situation. So it's like, why are you swooping in and like moving in together? Like that's weird. And that's a red flag. And Jody. So then a week later, we see that the cast is like having dinner, or most of the cast. And Larsa is basically saying that Jody got crazy that last night of the Milan trip. So it's basically kind of tying together that, yeah, he was probably feeling left out, insecure, and probably got into it with Lisa and like blew up on everyone. So we'll see next week what happens. But yeah, I think it was another solid, great episode. I was entertained. Getting a little tired of this Alexia Todd mess, but I think we'll be hearing about it for a few more episodes, hopefully just a few. But anyways, I want to hear from you. Let me know how you felt about this episode. Whose side are you on? Lisa, Larsa? Do you think Jody's a red flag? Have you dated someone like Todd? Let me know. And let me know how you feel about that whole Julia and Guerdy situation, because Julia, you're doing too much. But anyways, I appreciate you watching. I'll see you in the next video. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Share with a friend. And I appreciate you watching. I'll see you in the next video. Mwah. Bye. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Tears Take. I am recapping The Real Housewives of Miami, Season 7, Episode 3. It's called Worst Wedding Ever. Julia, you are continuing to click down for me. I'm confused why you're even on this show. Quite frankly, I was confused your first season. I gave you a chance your next season, and I'm just still like, why are you here? We are going to just talk about, I'll dive in a little bit more about my feelings of that last scene, but just know, I wasn't happy with it. I particularly like Miami because it has more levity and it's, just not as heavy and dark as some of the other franchises have been in the past few years. And it's starting to toe that line that I don't like. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in. If you are rocking with my content, please give me a like, a comment, a subscribe, share with a friend who you think who may enjoy this, and I would greatly appreciate it. Okay, so I'm going to kind of go really fast through the beginning scenes because I want to dive in a little bit more towards the end. So we start off the episode with Alexia and Frankie shopping a venue for Marisol's wedding ceremony. So we know that Marisol is going to get married in the U.S. officially. She has done other destination weddings, but now she wants to make it U.S. official. And since Alexia is her best friend and hasn't been to the destination wedding, she wants to throw her a surprise reception, which is really cool. So while she's there, she FaceTimes Lisa, and Lisa shares that her father did pass away. We heard last week that he wasn't doing well, and so he did pass, and Alexia gave her some words of comfort and encouragement. You know, Alexia has lost a parent before, so I think she was a good person to really help give her that kind of strength and boost that she may have been needing. So then we see Marisol and Steve preparing to go to the courthouse for their Miami wedding. And she talks about the importance of making it legal in the U.S. because she doesn't have kids. She has a really small family, and she wants to make sure that if something happens to her, Steve can make the really important decisions on her behalf, or if something happens to him, that she's taken care of. And so they just want to make sure that they're taking care of business on that front, which I really respect, because a lot of times especially now in 2025, you hear, no, marriage is just a piece of paper. And while marriage is not for everyone, I'm not the marriage police. It is something it does hold a weight of if you are in a committed or if you are in a long-term relationship and you want to be able to make these medical decisions for this person if they are not able to make those decisions themselves, or you want to make sure you're leaving your money to your loved one or you're receiving money if that loved one passes on before you. Marriage helps a lot in that space. I'm nobody's legal expert. I'm sure there are other documentations that you can get outside of marriage. I'm sure even if you are married, there are other things that you need to do on top of it. So it's just a really good reminder to get your affairs in order, no matter how old you are, just because you never know what life has in store. So we see Marisol and Steve riding a motorcycle to the courthouse. It looks so cute. And they officially get married. And Marisol says this is the happiest she's ever been. And she gets access to his money now. So I said, yes, Marisol, go ahead. This is probably the longest stretch of time that I've liked Marisol. It's very strange. I'm like, huh. At least in this reboot, I feel like she's a completely different person in this reboot. And so I haven't liked her, but in these beginning episodes of this season, I haven't minded her. So I'm like, oh, okay. Then we see a sit down with Julia and Adriana, and there's already some mild tension. One of them says, oh, I haven't talked to you all summer. The other one says, well, you can pick up the phone too. So they haven't talked. They haven't really connected. We know that Julia's been getting closer with Alexia and by proximity, Marisol. So like, it's interesting to see where this is going to go. I don't think they're on good terms now. But anyways, in this conversation, Adriana shares that she was a little disappointed that Julia didn't share the news of the adoption with Adriana first. I mean, if that's your best friend, why did your best friend find out at the same time as your castmates? And so I understand where Adriana is coming from. On Julia's side, she was upset, like, hey, I haven't really heard from you. You haven't checked in. You haven't checked on the boys. And that's hurtful as well. So they kind of agreed to just both do better, in that Adriana offered to throw Julia a baby shower. And so she really wants to make peace and make amends and move on. And I thought that was nice, but we know that they eventually fall out again, right? So we'll see. So this was the first scene that made me mad. Guerdy and Kiki meet up, and at first it was a really fun scene. They were at one of those stretch places, and Kiki's just being silly and she's being Kiki, and just everything was like a sexual joke, and it was funny. And Guerdy's like, is her vibrator broke? What's why is she just so over sexualized? And so it was funny at first, but then Kiki this season seems to be like the bone collector, and she's kind of going in between people, and she said this, and then she said that, and I don't know, so far it's not becoming on her. It seems like she's doing a little too much to kind of blend in with the group, because she was telling Guerdy, oh, Alexia had a dinner and she didn't invite you, and Guerdy was visibly thrown off by that. She was like, wait, what? She's been so supportive of me all summer, that's strange that she would now just not invite me. And Kiki's like, yeah, she just didn't want you to make it all about yourself, and the girls think you're so extra, and maybe you just need to tone it down. And I was just like, that's an interesting thing to say, because listen, Guerdy is extra. She can be loud. She can be, over the top. She can be a little self-centered. What the girls are saying, I'm not denying. However, have we seen the rest of this cast? They are the epitome of extra as well. Larsa has extra butt filler. Marisol and Alexia every 2 minutes is, ay, por favor. Adriana is always pot stirring and going low. Lisa can be very self-absorbed as well. So why is all of the finger pointing at Guerdy and, oh, you need to tone down, you're doing too much? We see at the end of this episode, Julia was doing too much. So I just didn't appreciate someone kind of slapping Guerdy on the wrist, calm it down, please. Have you seen the rest? Comment down below if I'm tripping or if you are picking up what I'm putting down. So Guerdy didn't really help her case, because as Kiki is telling her this, Guerdy's like constantly interrupting, and Kiki's like, girl, I can't even get a sentence out. Like, this is why they don't want to be around you. So like, again, I get it. I don't think, I'm not like a Guerdy stan, but I'm also like not too much on my girl. Like, I'm also not going to let people like villainize her completely when everyone does the most. And that's why y'all are housewives. Okay. Okay, so then we have some two back-to-back scenes with really similar themes. So first we see Lisa. She's in Canada. She's in Canada for her father's funeral. She's at her hotel room with Jody, and she's just talking like, you know, should I speak at the funeral? Should I not? I'm nervous. I don't know. Jody's encouraging her like, hey, you're not going to regret it if you end up speaking, but you may regret it if you don't. So he's just kind of giving her some words of wisdom. She talks about again how she just recently reconciled with him, and he had reached out to her in the past, but she only just became open to it, and now it's too late because he's gone. And so that's got to feel, you know, that's got to be kind of like a weight on her. But you know, I'm glad that they at least reconciled. He at least met her kids. Like, there are positives to this story, so I just hope she doesn't let that weigh her down too much. The next scene, we see Kiki, and she goes out to a museum with her mom and her daughter. Gorgeous family. Her daughter is so cute. Her mom's gorgeous. And Kiki looked great in her confessional with like the natural texture hair that she had. Gorgeous. And Kiki was sharing with her mom that her dad has been reaching out, and they haven't talked for 10 years, but he's been recently reaching out. And even though her mom and her father are no longer together, her mom was still encouraging her to pursue a relationship with her father and to forgive him and to move on and forgive. And so I felt like that was great that she was being the bigger person. And if it's within Kiki's heart to do it, I hope so. I don't know. I am not of the camp of like, I am not one person that's like, you need to do something because they're blood. And it's kind of like, well, why did they do what they did to me if I'm their blood, right? So it's like, I'm careful on not imposing like my ideology on people. Like, oh, you should do this because I want to be like, hey, you do whatever is good for you and your sanity and your heart and your soul. And if all of that feels good to let this person into your life and sharing that space and energy, go for it. I want people to just do what's best for them and their mental health, and don't sacrifice your mental health and hold all that stress inside because someone's your blood. So then the girls arrive to Marisol's surprise ceremony, and you know, Kiki's starting to stir the pot. So like I said earlier, she was being the bone collector going between the two groups, and now she's and in that conversation with Kiki and Guerdy has said like, you know, I don't appreciate Julia kind of like running her mouth behind my back to the women and kind of trying to make them turn against me. So she had said that in the earlier scene. So when the ladies are you know, just waiting for Marisol to arrive and just hanging out, Kiki tells the group before Guerdy gets there, oh yeah, you know, Guerdy said that Julia is trying to brainwash the ladies, and you know, she just doesn't appreciate that. And I'm just like, what? That was unnecessary. You didn't need to say that. I don't like this pot stirring like bone carrier that you're doing. I want you to just be Kiki, be fun, show us your life. Give us your commentary, your observations, but I don't like this like messier side of you. So then Marisol arrives, everyone surprises her. Alexia had her brother there, and you know, some family, obviously the girls there, her friends. Marisol, it was a surprise. So Marisol thought she was just going to dinner, and she woke up that morning with a sty in her eye. So she had a patch on her eye. And so everyone's clouding her like, girl, this isn't Halloween. Like, what are you doing? So, you know, so the party kind of commences. while they're sitting down, someone asked Larsa how the Milan trip went, and Larsa said it was great, except like the last night Jody went crazy. So remember last episode at the end, Lisa was saying that Jody is probably going to be mad at her because she didn't spend much time with him in the after party. And so Larsa was like, yeah, he went crazy. He was yelling at us. His eyes were bulging out of his head. And she had a picture of him. And the women were like, but like, I didn't understand the picture. Like, he looked like he normally looks to me. So if you understand what she was trying to imply with the picture, please let me know. I didn't get it. But she did say that she thinks Jody is after Lisa's money. She said that he's in all of her business emails, all her business calls, and he's just like, he just weaseled his way in there. And I mean, I think that's a possibility. Like I said last recap, it's kind of a red flag that he even got with her to begin with. If I was single and there was a guy I liked and he was not even fully divorced yet. He had 2 kids and they're figuring out a custody situation, trying to figure out how to get back on his feet because his spouse was the breadwinner and he ain't even got, like, he's trying to build. I would be like, man, I like you. Hit me up in a couple years when you're, when you're a little more stable. Like, I don't know. I think it's strange. I think he found her in a very vulnerable time in her life and swooped in and is hoping to get a little bit of clout or, you know, proximity to money or proximity to her money. So I'm good on Jody. I don't really like him, but, you know, we'll keep an eye on him. So they cheers to Marisol. Julia is so loud and abrasive and annoying. She's just all loud and annoying. She's obviously drunk. Because even though she's obviously drunk, the ladies still encourage Julia and Guerdy to talk. And I'm like, why would you do that when she's wildly out of her mind? But sure. So they're like, oh, you guys should talk. So then like Guerdy was just like, okay, so did you want to just like talk here in front of everyone or did you want to go somewhere? And Julia's like, don't produce. You're doing it again. You're over the top. And I'm like, are you looking in a mirror? You look insane. What do you... Don't produce. Is that a rehearsed read? Because she wasn't producing. She literally asked, do you want some privacy or do you prefer to just talk it out with the women? Oh my God. She was so... Guerdy, you're better than me. And as she's talking, her hand's getting a little too close to Guerdy's face. So, no, it wouldn't be me. So at the group, Guerdy is giving her side of the story and just kind of like, hey, here's like my POV of what happened on the cruise and da-da-da-da-da. I'm not even getting into the details. The details don't even matter at this point. But as she's giving her side of the story, drunk Julia is chiming in. And Guerdy was like, girl, be quiet. Like, let me finish. And then Julia throws her drink at Guerdy like, no, don't tell me to be quiet. And going girl. Julia looked like the type of people that do housewife skits. Like she looked like an SNL skit. I see a couple of other commercials that kind of like spoof off of housewives and they're always like throwing jinx and breaking glasses and like being silly. That's what you looked like, honey. It was not iconic. You probably wanted a moment. It wasn't iconic. It wasn't memorable. You looked stupid and desperate. And you looked like a Karen throwing the drink at one of the only black people in the damn room. And you know she can't retaliate because as soon as she does something, you would have started crying like a little bitch. And she attacked me. The level of disrespect was out of this world for no reason. And mind you, Guerdy brought up the point, like, this was a year ago. Why are you just now bringing this up? Why are you still this angry? Why are you talking to everyone except for me? We're friends. Guerdy, you know why. Because she wants a storyline. She wants a moment. She has nothing else going on. Everyone has told her the past 4 years or however long she's been on this show that she's boring. She's irrelevant. She should switch spots with Adriana because Adriana is interesting all on her own. We don't really see her son. She get out a different bed every other season. Adriana can carry a full-time spot on her own. You have a family, a farm, a goat, a dog, and you're still boring. That sucks for you. Anyway, so before she throws the drink on her, before they had sat down to talk, after the like, don't produce, da 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 da, like after that, Guerdy had actually walked away, aka trying to de-escalate the situation, right? So keep that in mind, right? And as she walked away, Julia got up and followed her and was still yelling, still being crazy, getting too close. She should have got laid out on the floor right then and there. Time for a nap, Julia. That's when someone was like, oh no, just come back, sit down and tell us your story. And that's when Guerdy went into her story. She threw the drink. Okay. So, as I said, Julia, you're desperate, but let's get into why no one defended her. Not one person said, Julia, calm down. What are you doing? Take a beat. Go get a break. Like, why would you do that? You need to apologize. Not one person tried to de-escalate, try to calm her down. Not one person checked on Guerdy. Guerdy, are you okay? Are you good? That was so messed up of her to do that. I'm so sorry that she did that. Julia, you're out of control. Julia, you need to apologize to her. Julia, you need to go home. What are you doing? Call an Uber. Take her drunk ass home. Not one person made it clear that her behavior was wrong. And my question is, would everyone still be silent if it was the other way around? If Guerdy was yelling and cursing at an event, threw a drink on someone, would the girls be silent then? Inquiring minds want to know. Please let me know. Because you know what everyone would be saying had that been Guerdy. If someone walked away from Guerdy and she went and followed them, oh, she would have been a threat then. They probably would have called security or the police. But Julia's drunk behind can act an entire fool and get away with it. Not one person said that's not okay. Not one person said, Guerdy, are you okay? Not one person. Then we have Kiki in a confessional basically insinuating that Guerdy was the antagonizer, that Guerdy escalated things. She basically said that in so many words. Kiki, did you forget that Guerdy walked away? Did you forget? It was completely one-sided. It was completely one-sided and it was so gross. And I don't want to see that ever again. When I tell you, I just have flashbacks of these Beverly Hills women and their double standards, and they can act a fool, but as soon as Garcelle says one thing, it's, oh my God, you need to apologize. That hurt my feelings. Or Mia can throw a drink on Wendy, but Wendy's called the antagonizer, like from Potomac. You will never understand what it's like to have someone disrespect you to your face and you still have to bite your tongue because God forbid you defend yourself, then you're the aggressor. And that's why Guerdy didn't do anything. But it would have been nice if she had an ally, a friend in the room to stand up and say, this is wrong. And she didn't have that. Guerdy, take note, because none of them are your friends. None of them are your friends. Maybe if Dr. Nicole was there, maybe she would have said something. Anyways, y'all, that was the end of my recap, rant, review, whatever you want to call it. Comment down below how you felt. Were you team Drunk Karen or were you team Guerdy? Do you think the ladies had a responsibility to come in and say something and kind of acknowledge that Julia was wrong? How do you feel about kind of like the parallels with Kiki and Lisa reconnecting with their fathers after a long time and just kind of grappling with reconciling with the family members? Is that something you've experienced, and do you regret it or not? There was a lot of things here in this episode, but as you all can tell, I am still fired up by that last scene. So I'm going to end it here. I really appreciate you guys watching. Please support the channel, like, comment, subscribe, watch some of the other videos. And I just really appreciate you guys for being here. Thank you so much. Bye. Mwah.